Hi besties, welcome back to my channel. It's been a while since we've been in my kitchen, but today we're gonna be cooking up a storm. I'm gonna be meal prepping 3 meals today, breakfast, lunch and supper. My plan is to make enough food for about 2 to 3 days, and first we're gonna start with my breakfast because I'm making something savory and it has to go into the oven. I've already prepped some of the things I'm gonna be needing today, and this is one of those recipes that you can make your own because you can literally add anything you like. It's a typical savory muffin, nothing fancy, and what I like about this, it tastes like breakfast because there's eggs in and there's veggies in. So this is like my favorite way to just wake up and pop it into the microwave 10 seconds and then my food is ready to eat. We're gonna start with some eggs. This is a really easy one to meal prep because you literally just throw everything into a buck, throw it into your muffin pan in the oven and it's done. I spoke about this a bit more on my Instagram, but I've recently been meal prepping and not like how I used to, which was for calorie deficit reasons. Nowadays, it's literally just to have meals ready whenever I'm hungry. And honestly, it's been such a lifesaver for me to just have everything in my fridge. I'm eating like every 2 to 3 hours, I'll get hungry, but I'm not eating big meals, so I like having small bites ready to go whenever I want it. Ambrose is also currently on tour, so it's just me here, and for that reason it's easy for me to meal prep because I don't have to make big portions, it's just for one person. And when he's here, it's not so easy to meal prep because he has his breakfast and lunch at Loftus, and then I don't know what he's gonna have for lunch. He doesn't also know before the time. So then I don't want to make the same thing for supper as what he had for lunch. So usually I'll first wait until he comes home before we decide, okay, what we're gonna have for supper tonight. But now that it's just me, I don't mind eating the same thing for at least 2 days. After the 3rd day, I'm like, okay, I've had enough. So that's why I also don't make huge portions because sometimes I do get tired of it. I'm not gonna lie. I do get asked that often. And I do get tired of some of the things that I meal prepped. So over the past few days, I've been having overnight oats, which is more on the sweeter side of a breakfast. And that's why now I'm switching it up to something more savory. So I'll have this for like the next 3 mornings or so. And usually I'll have 2 muffins. I don't have a big muffin pan, so like 2 to 3 muffins in the morning. And then I'll also like snack on it even later the afternoon because it does taste really nice. And the reason why I also really love this recipe is because I can sneak so much protein into this. Like I'm adding cottage cheese, there's eggs in. I'm also gonna add a few chicken sausages or just like one, just to like keep on sneaking in all this protein, you know. As I mentioned, I'm like struggling to eat big meals. So that's why the little meals, I make sure that whatever I'm having, there's like enough of everything inside, or I try to sneak in as much like veggies and protein into one thing so that I only have to eat one thing and not like a bunch of things. Another thing that I like to do whenever I'm making baked goods, whenever it says oil, I usually replace it for some butter. I feel like butter just makes it taste better. So I just melt some butter instead of using oil. Unless the recipe really calls for oil, with muffins and stuff, I usually just use butter because it's just like a little bit of extra flavor, you know? The base of this recipe is very basic. It's just your eggs, some self-raising flour, a little bit of salt, a little bit of sugar, and then like I said, I replaced the oil for butter. And then where the magic happens is whatever veggies you decide to put in, and also the extra cottage cheese that I add. So this is my plate of veggies I have today, and here I chopped up some red onion, feta cheese, not a veggie but dairy, butternut, and some spinach. I add them bit by bit because sometimes I do have too much. So I'll first see how much space I have for more veggies and then I'll add. I like the red onion, spinach and feta combo, and then obviously butternut is just, oh, I love butternut. So just like that, and it already looks so colorful and pretty. Then for the chicken, I take a chicken sausage because it also has like nice flavoring inside. This is the one from Woolies, and then I like to take it out of the shell or casing and just like drop a few pieces of chicken in there. Like I said, this is also just to sneak in some extra protein. For me, one is enough, but if you wanted more meaty, less veggies, then you can obviously switch it up. You can add any type of veggie that you want, any type of protein that you want. And then we just mix it all together. I like to use a wooden spoon for this one. It's not really like a runny mixture, so you don't really need like a electric whisk. And then you just blend everything together nicely. I forgot to mention the butternut. I did steam a bit in the microwave just for like 5 minutes because I don't want it to be mushy. It's still like cubes, but I don't want it to come out too raw in the muffin when the muffin is done because this doesn't cook too long. So this is what we have right now, and I think I'm gonna add a little bit more spinach, just a little bit, because spinach kind of like cooks away. A few more cubes of butternut as well, and that should do it. I'll sneak in the rest of my veggies with some of the food that I'm gonna be making after this. So like I said, it's not a runny mixture, it's like more on the stuffed side, and it doesn't take too long to put all of this together. Now we get a muffin pan with some spray and cook. I don't think I'm gonna fill all of these, I'm gonna see how far it goes. This is like a very tiny muffin pan, but usually for a big one, like a normal size muffin pan, I'll make about only 6 and that will be enough. But I'm just gonna see how far this one goes. I just put enough in each one, don't fill it too much. Then I'm just gonna fill all of these up. Just like that. And this I'm gonna top up with some cheddar cheese and spring onion. A lot of people have been asking me like how's the cravings and all of that, and honestly the only thing I want nowadays is cheddar cheese. It's like my favorite. I'll have it on bread, I'll have it on crackers, I'll have it on top of muffins like this. Anyway, to get in some cheese is my favorite. You can also put the cheese inside of the muffins and then even top it with more cheese, but because I have feta cheese inside, I didn't still add cheddar cheese inside as well. Then for the green onion, I just chop up the top part. This is decoration, but it also adds a nice flavor. So just a little bit of this on each cup. Like I said, everything with this one is optional, so you don't have to add anything that I did. You can change it completely and add whatever you like. And that's meal one done. This is gonna go into the oven for about 25 minutes. Before I start with the next meal, I'm first gonna clear some of this up and then prep the things for the next one. I'm first gonna make supper because while the supper is busy, I can make my lunch for tomorrow because I am having the supper tonight as well. So I cleaned up and my muffins are done. Before I start with the next meal, I just want to try one of these because it's smelling so good and I need to do a little taste test while it's still nice and warm. Just a nice bite-sized muffin. Oh, so perfect in the morning because I don't like to have like a heavy breakfast at the moment. So this, two or three of these in the morning, perfect. It's still really hot though. This is so yummy. Nice and cheesy, some spinach and butternut in every bite. And I love a cheese and red onion combo. So now, I need to start on the next part, which is the night supper. And I'm making some chops, like just some, we call it pot-brei chops. like chops in a nice little gravy. Then I'm gonna make some fried potatoes and broccoli with some butternut in a cheesy white sauce. And that's gonna be tonight's supper. I need to move this out of the way before I have more than one because it's so good. Also, I used the black pepper feta. So the salt and pepper mixed in here is so nice, and I don't even have to add pepper. If you use a plain feta, I do suggest adding a little bit of black pepper. It tastes so good in it. Okay, let's get this out of the way ASAP. Okay, so for I've prepped the meat, this is just some lamb chops with a little bit of salt, pepper, and steak and chop spice. I'm just letting it marinate in the spice for a little bit. And now I need to chop up a nice onion to make a gravy with this one. And then also still peel my potatoes, which I was so lazy to do. Luckily it's just me, so I only need like 2 potatoes. So this meal isn't a difficult one to make. It's very easy. You just need quite a few pots because almost everything needs to be made in a different pot. And that's the only part of it that makes it difficult, is because you have to clean a lot afterwards. Now I'm just gonna chop up a small onion. Like I said, it's just for me. Usually when I make like a proper pot of this, I'll use like a nice fat onion. I like to leave the onion like not too finely chopped for this one because I like sometimes dishing some of it with my meat onto my plate. I'm just gonna make 2 big potatoes since it's just for me, but I do love a crispy fried potato. I'm gonna chop them up into little blocks and then fry them up. Here we go with pot number 1. I like to boil the potatoes until they're just like soft enough so that I can make sure that it's super soft but crispy on the outside when I fry them. So into a pot with boiling water and salt. I chop them up into cubes like this, but you can also like make wedges or like shape it in whatever way you like. And then into the pot they go. I don't really time them, I just feel them every now and again. It mustn't be like mushy, just like soft enough because it's still gonna fry in the oil after this. Then next pot we have is for the chops. I like to use a stainless steel one so that it can give a nice color onto the chops before I put like some stock to make it a bit more like a gravy. I like the chops to be like a crispy and a bit brown. So I'm gonna heat this up with a bit of oil. So a liquor amount of oil to fry the onions in. With the meal prep, I do feel like it's better to clean in between the meals because if there's too much going on, then it feels overwhelming and like you're cooking a bunch of food. But now it feels like I'm just making one thing because I don't even see all of the other stuff I used earlier to make the breakfast. I'm gonna add in the onion now that the oil is nice and heated. We wanna hear that sound. Then I'm first gonna let the onions brown a bit before I add the meat as well. The meat is in, and while that's browning, we are taking out pot number 3, which is gonna be for the white sauce. This is gonna go over the broccoli. For the white sauce, very simple, basically just 3 ingredients: milk, flour, butter, and of course salt. So we're gonna add that later. Letting the pot heat up, and then I'm going to add the butter. The trick is to use about the same amount of flour as you do butter, and then I'm using the roux method, which is where you melt the butter, add the flour, heat it up a little bit, and then go in with your milk, and then you just whisk, 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 whisk. And then I'll also just keep an eye out here. See, I like my meat to have some nice color on it. Also keep foul choppy, lekker bruin. Once this is brown on both sides, I'm going to add a little bit of beef stock and then just let it cook. If you're hearing a weird sound in the background, I'm busy steaming the broccoli in the microwave. That just makes it a bit quicker than also, boiling it in a pot. On that note, let's also check in on the potatoes. I think it can still go a little bit. Honestly, for this, it's just by feel like just the middle of the potato should be nice and soft at least. And then for the chops, make sure that you get a nice color on any fatty sides it might have. Just like that. And then by now the pot should be hot enough for us to get working on the white sauce. So this is about a tablespoon's worth of butter. And then we let that melt, but make sure that it doesn't brown or burn. If it starts to brown, then your white sauce will have a different flavor. My butter is melted, so I'm gonna add 1 tablespoon of flour. And now we start to whisk. Just about 2 or 3 minutes so that the flour can cook a bit. Then you can turn the heat very low and go in with your milk also bit by bit. And then just check every time. Once it gets too thick, you can add more milk. So like once it starts to do this, we can add more milk. Because you also don't want it to be too runny. And now we double time. Because we're not letting the meat burn. There we go. Some more milk. Also with this, you can decide how thick or more runny you want your white sauce. I like mine to be right in the middle. Not too thick, but also not runny. And I also just want just enough to cover my veggies. I don't want my veggies to be swimming in white sauce. So now that I have a nice sear on my chops, I'm happy with the color. I'm going to add some booster sauce to deglaze the bottom of the pot, just a little bit. And then about a half a cup of beef stock. And now I'm going to cover it with a lid, and this is going to cook while I finish up the rest. Okay, we're done with her for now. Once I'm happy with the thickness of my white sauce, I turn off the heat completely, and then I add a little bit of salt. Just like that. Give it one more whisk. And that is done. Beautiful. Checking in on the potatoes again. I think they should be ready by now. Yeah, the potatoes are done. So what I like to do is when I drain the potatoes, I put them in a strainer like this, and then I just give them a little shake so that it makes like almost like fluffy, and then it also just fries nice and crispy. I'm also gonna put a little bit of flour over the potatoes and also paprika before I fry it. So just give it a quick shake like this, not too hectic, just to rough up the outside. Then I just rinse this pot out. I'm not going to use another pot, and let it dry completely before I put the oil in here to fry the potatoes. So here I have the things for the broccoli and butternut mix I'm going to make. Almost forgot about these. Let's get a spoon. So I put all of the leftover spinach that I had in here. We don't waste over here. And then we're going to put some broccoli and cauliflower, a little bit of butternut. I'm not going to use all of this because I like during the day snacking on some steamed veggies, so I'll have this as a snack of its own without the sauce. And then I like to make this in one of these meal prep bowls, because then I can just put it in the oven, and afterwards when it cools down I can put the lid on, and then it's already dished up. I don't have to make another dish dirty. The sauce does sometimes get a bit thicker as it stands, so I'm just going to heat this up again with a little bit more milk. Just a little bit. And then I'm doing this on a very low heat, just so that I can pour it over nicely. While that's busy heating up, I'm going to put some salt over the veggies, a little bit of white pepper, just a touch. There, and a little bit of aromat. Cover up the veggies nicely. This is like one of my Sunday faves. So my aunt was always the one in charge of making this back in the day, whenever we had Sunday lunch at my grandma's house, and Hers was the best. So whenever I make this, I think about her. And then we add some cheese, just enough to cover it up. And then I also like to sprinkle over some paprika. Perfect. This is gonna go into the oven, but just until the cheese melts. That's why I only steamed the veggies and didn't boil them, so that they don't become mushy while it's in the oven. While I was busy with all of that, I let my oil heat up for the potatoes. So here are my potatoes. I sprinkled over some flour, salt, and a little bit of paprika. And we're just gonna pop this into the oil. This is also one of my absolute Sunday faves. I love a fried potato, especially like if it's crispy outside, super soft inside. So I just leave it at the beginning so that it can already start making a shell. I don't immediately start stirring. Let it just, you know, do its thing. And then after 2 minutes, I'll flip it over. In the meantime, my meat is looking so good and the gravy is coming along nicely. I'm starting to think whether or not I'm still going to do the lunch prep because I am getting a bit tired. But I know tomorrow I'll be happy that I did it. So I'll see. I'm first going to eat this meal while it's nice and hot, and then I'll do the other bit, if I'm up for it. My potatoes are done. Yo, I'm so ready to eat. They are looking crispy. I can't wait to taste. And my veggie mix is also ready. My timing was perfect. Yo guys, now I'm hungry. I'm gonna dish up a plate and then we're gonna eat supper. I'm so hungry. Oh, I forgot to mention, I also like to add a little bit of aromat on the potatoes after they've been in the oil. Give that a stir. Okay, and now we're gonna dish up. This one is still hot. Ooh. Cheese pool. Which chop are we gonna take? This one. Yummy. Some gravy. This is tonight's plate. It looks delicious. I'm first gonna eat this now and then I'm gonna decide how I feel about making tomorrow's lunch. I do feel like I should get it done because then I only have to clean tonight and not tomorrow again. But we'll see. Okay, so 2 things. I was watching TV while I was eating and now it's really late. I wasn't watching the time and I was enjoying the show that I'm watching. And then I realized that some of the pots I want to use for the next meal and also like my chopping board and things are dirty at the moment and I need to wash them. So then I'm gonna have to wash up, cook again, and then wash up again. Anyway, so I decided that I'm actually gonna have the leftover meat and veggies from today as lunch tomorrow, and then I'll cook that meal as tomorrow night's supper, which I'm completely fine with. So that's the end of the meal prep of today. So this was basically 2 meals, breakfast and a supper lunch. But I hope you guys enjoyed these recipes and that you do try them. They are super yummy. I'll type out all the ingredients in my description and then the method obviously you can see over here. I hope you enjoyed the meal prep vlog. Let me know if you want more of these. And yeah, I'll see you guys again next week.